Hey, this is Zachlog the Great. So, leftists like to think of themselves as, you know, fighting the man. Like they're these, plucky rebels who are, fighting the power and standing up for the little guy. And there's this, big, uh, you know, all these big powers against them. So I ran across something on Facebook about a month ago, and it really fascinated me because it takes a good, solid look at that idea. Um, are you part of the status quo? And it's just six questions, six yes or no questions, um, and depending on your response to these questions, he says this shows the degree to which you are part of the status quo or whether you are a rebel. And so, like I said, I just found this interesting. I thought it would be kind of fun to go through it bit by bit and talk about each one. So, um, of course, I will put a link in the show description, and if you find this interesting, you can go take a look yourself. I believe I saw this on the Facebook page Being Classically Liberal. I don't know if they originated it, but that's where I saw it. So, um, question one. In your country, are you not at risk of jail or some harsh punishment when you express your beliefs in speech and or with your symbols in a peaceful manner, e.g., like a protest where no real human is physically harmed or property destroyed? Um, and this one is actually a little mixed for me. Broadly, yes, I am not at risk of jail or some harsh punishment in this country. Unless I've been misinformed, there are a few jurisdictions where I, would be at risk of significant fines for honestly expressing my beliefs. I believe in the state of New York, if you call a mentally ill man, if you refuse to call a mentally ill man a woman, you can, when he says, that's what he is, you can be fined uh, some enormous amount. I forget the dollar amount, but it's uh, to most people, to most Americans, it would be a crushing amount. Um, so mostly, yes, I am not at risk. There are some parts of the country where I am. Question two. In your country, are you not at risk of being sued by a human or private entity or legally fined for stating your beliefs, even if you just want to be left alone or not forced to associate? Um, I am. I am at risk. If I expressed what I really thought. If I were running a business and I said, no, I would rather not take your business, in cases where I would rather not, there are a few situations where, I would be sued and, you know, basically have my life wrecked. I mean, even, you've heard the phrase, the process is the punishment. You know, Jack Phillips, the baker in Colorado. I believe he won in court, but I can't I cannot imagine the frustration, the wasted hours, the wasted days, weeks of his life, trying to sort through all of this. And there are a few areas where, if I were running a business, if I honestly expressed my beliefs, my preferences, um, I would be at risk of being sued and basically having my life wrecked. So, question 3. In your country, when groups espousing your ideology gather, do you find that police are not also there? This could either be to stop what you say or to make sure that violence does not escalate, as it usually always does when it comes to your rallies. There are people I politically sympathize with. Try to hold rallies, try to have speakers, and they kind of get the worst of both worlds, because there are several instances where they try to do these things and the police show up, and people who disagree with them show up. Antifa, Black Lives, but not Black, by any means necessary. What's the other one? I feel like there's a third name, but anyway, these groups show up, and commit violence against people who are just coming to hear a speaker. These groups show up and assault the protesters, and the police stand by and do nothing. Offer them no protection, offer them, no kind of solace, nothing that the government is supposed to do for us. What do you pay our taxes for? So the police will keep you safe. Well, they kind of don't. And in some cases, like Charlottesville, protests at Charlottesville in 2017, it looks like, frankly, the police made things worse. Not actually, causing engaging in violence themselves, but pushing these two, these two radically opposed groups together. Um, So, question 4. Do companies do marketing campaigns which cater to your ideology and your crowd in support of it? Or do they do shout-outs and honor people whom you admire? Example, would a person who espouses your ideology be honored by Google as a great person? Or would a company use your symbols to show their support? No. No. People I support, people I agree with, are generally portrayed as monsters or, uneducated idiots. People call them morons who haven't read, half of the books I have. Or do they do shout-outs? Would a person who espouses your ideology be honored by Google as a great person? Kind of funny thing about that particular example, Vox Day, for instance, is banned from physically, getting on, coming onto Google's campus. I don't think he ever had any plans of doing that anyway, but he is specifically banned from Google's property. Which, I mean, it's private property. They have a right to do that, but, not, promoting, people I look up to. Question 5. In your country, are there major and popular figures currently in academia, or at least as any mainstream politician of the major parties running for president, usually, who espouses most of what you believe in particular? Anyone holds my ideas and is in academia, they keep their mouth shut. You don't say these things. You don't talk about, wow, sure is a lot of violent crime done by black people in this country. Wow. All this immigration sure isn't great for ordinary working Americans. It doesn't seem to be doing them. It doesn't seem to be doing much good for them. You don't say those things if you want to keep a job in academia. Um, you know, and even the right wing conservative Republicans. I mean, no, they're the better of two options sometimes. Uh, Frankly, a lot of them um, seem far more interested in the perks of a cushy government job than in actually representing the interests of people who vote for them. For instance, you know, you know, a decade or so ago, John McCain, had this campaign ad where he's talking about, we got to build that dang border fence, and then President Trump comes along and is actually intending to do it, and all of a sudden walls are racist, according to McCain. Never had any interest in actually doing it. Was just telling the rubes what they wanted to hear so he could get into office. Question 6. In your country, if you openly stated what you believe, would you still be employed by some major company and or government agency? No. So, what's my score here? 6 questions. Between, 1/2 and 1 out of 6. And, it has a score, scale here for, what you think. And, like it says over here, this is not, saying that, one side is, necessarily better or, more correct than the other. But, if you answered yes to every one of these questions, um, you know, if you're, a socialist and you have, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren up there on stage, talking about what you actually think, um, no, you're not a rebel. And, you're not fighting the man. You have, you know, every, major, news network on your side. You have, Hollywood, the movie industry on your side. You have, you know, a significant portion of academia on your side. You're not a rebel. You're a tool. So, and like you said, being at a 0 to 1 doesn't mean you're right or good. Being at a 5 or 6 doesn't mean you're bad or evil. But you know, one side definitely is more acceptable to the powers that be than the other. So, something to think about. Thanks for watching, and God be with you.